Welcome. John Ernst Steinbeck was an American writer who won the 1962 Nobel Prize in Literature for his realistic and imaginative writings. He lived in this world for 66 years, from 1902 to 1968. Let's explore his book, The Grapes of Wrath. It is a timeless story of real life. The story could be divided into different phases like the Dust Bowl, the migrant camps, and the California dream that lured thousands of families out west. These families were called the Dust Bowl migrants.
The Dust Bowl was all too real for families like the Joads. The Dust Bowl was the result of years of bad farming practices combined with a severe drought in the 1930s. Farmers had been overworking the land in Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, and surrounding states, which weakened the soil. When the drought hit, strong winds blew away millions of tons of topsoil, creating these massive dust storms that could black out the sky.
And it wasn't just a bad harvest. People's homes were literally swallowed by these storms, right?
Exactly. It was apocalyptic for some. Farms failed, banks closed, and suddenly, millions of Americans found themselves homeless. That's the background for the Joads when the novel opens, this sense of being kicked off the land they had worked for generations.
So, the Joads decide to head west, like hundreds of thousands of others, drawn by those flyers promising jobs in California. This idea of California as a promised land, was it real, or just a fantasy?
It was a bit of both. In the early 1930s, California was experiencing an agricultural boom, and farm owners needed labor. They sent out flyers advertising plenty of jobs and good pay, which attracted desperate families. But the reality was much harsher. There were too many people and not enough jobs, and wages were deliberately kept low by the growers.
This makes me think of the character of Tom Joad. He's an ex-convict returning to his family, and he becomes a central figure in their survival. Do we know if the author based him on any real people?
There's no specific Tom Joad, but the author spent some time among the migrant workers in California and listened to their stories. Many of the men he met were like Joad, men who had been broken by the system but were still trying to keep their families afloat. And just like in the novel, some of them were radicalized, seeing how corrupt the labor system was and how little power they had.
Now let's talk about the journey itself. Route 66. Now, this highway has become such a symbol of adventure and freedom, but for the Joads, and for real-life families, what was it like to travel this road?
It was grueling. Imagine being in a packed car with all your possessions, crossing the desert with barely enough money to feed your family. Cars would break down, and there weren't enough resources for everyone traveling west. Many migrants would camp out in roadside camps or Hoovervilles. Hoovervilles were shanty towns named after President Hoover, who was blamed for the Great Depression.
Yes, there is a sense of hopelessness and yet determination to survive. What I love about the novel is how the road becomes a kind of metaphor for the American dream. This idea that you can always move forward and find something better.
Yes, that dream was a mirage for many. Once these families got to California, they were often met with hostility. The locals didn't want more mouths to feed, and the state was overwhelmed by the influx of migrants. Many found themselves living in filthy, overcrowded camps with no work.
In the novel, the Joads end up in a government-run camp that offers dignity and structure, unlike the chaotic and dangerous camps run by landowners. Did such camps really exist?
They did. These were called Farm Security Administration camps, and they provided decent living conditions, clean water, and even self-governance for the residents. But there were only a few of these camps, so most migrants never saw this side of California.
It's interesting that this one hopeful place existed in an otherwise bleak story. It suggests that with the right policies things could be different. So after everything the Joads go through, the death, the hardship, The story ends with that unforgettable image of eldest Joe's daughter nursing a starving man. It's such a powerful symbol of human compassion.
Indeed. In the face of total despair, the only hope is in our ability to help each other. That's the core philosophy in the book, that we're all part of a bigger soul, and we have to stand together if we're going to survive.
In the end, I would say that it's a novel about struggle, but it's also a call to action. All this is happening today. What are we going to do about it? With this call, I would conclude and say goodbye.
Sadly, the issues of economic inequality, labor exploitation, migration are still with us. This is sad but true. Let's keep learning, growing, and doing our best. Bye.